Surviving Thailand 101.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Surviving Thailand 101. I'm your host, Don Sini, here to break down helpful tips and advice so travelers and expats can have a fantastic time here in Thailand and avoid common cultural faux pas. Well, I hope you guys are doing very, very well. By now, most of us Thais have gotten their first COVID-19 jabs already. And for the expat community, I know that French nationals living here in Thailand have been queuing up to get their Johnson & Johnson viral vector shots. I recently got my first jab late July, the inactivated vaccine Sinopharm. And oh man, I have to say that, I don't want to complain. I did have some side effects, but they were minor compared to like other people. I've been reading a lot of reviews for people who've got their Sinopharm jabs on Twitter. So apparently there's like a review going on Twitter and social media and whatnot. So I have to say that my side effects were really minor compared to others who complain of headaches, rashes, and pain on the injection site. For me, I did not prepare myself mentally or physically for the vaccine at all. I mean, it's hard when you're also looking after a baby as well. I mean, I didn't get enough sleep, even though medical experts were saying like, okay, you need plenty of rest. You need to drink lots and lots of water. But, who does that when you have like a kid to look after, to care for, right? But I do drink plenty of water. So I think that's a good start, right? So on that day, on my vaccination day, I did not have time to get any breakfast because, I was preparing, some stuff for the baby, for her to stay home with the helper. So my husband and I, by the time we got to the site, we, were almost late, but we just got there in time. So we just showed our IDs and whatnot, for the staff. And finally, it was my turn, and I was, tinkering with the camera on my phone on one hand just to, video record it just for the history books. And, bam, it was just done. Honestly, I did not feel a thing. So thank you, nurse. What an expert. Compared to my influenza shot that I had and rubella shot, this was like totally different. I could not feel a thing at all. I was more conscious of my influenza shot. But anyway, so we were guided to an area where we had to stay for 30 minutes for monitoring for any adverse side effects. I did feel a bit nauseous and really exhausted. But the thing is, it's really hard to tell because, I don't know if it was from the vaccines or it's the case of the peptic ulcer. When I don't have breakfast on time, or if I skip meals or don't have any meals on time, then, I do get the case of like nausea just because my peptic ulcer would erupt. So I don't know if it's because of the vaccine that triggers it or because of the vaccine or because it's just the case of my peptic ulcer. So it was really hard to tell. For the exhaustion, obviously I did not get any sleep and it has been that way ever since the baby was born. So hard to tell. So I, just to be on the safe side, I went to the nurse on site, to get my blood pressure monitor, and it was fine. And I did tell the nurse that I did not have any breakfast. I did not get enough sleep, and the nurse was like, yeah, that must be it, and by the way, you're good to go. Everything, vital signs and whatnot are in check. It's normal. But it wasn't until I got home that I felt super duper sleepy and super duper hungry. The hunger part, it was easily taken care of, but the sleepy part, man, I could not keep my eyes open. I mean, I was really, really drowsy. So I took a nap, which rarely happens, even though, as a parent, with a newborn, 5-6 months ago, that really rarely happens. Yeah, I was just like, wow, my eyelids are it felt like they were drooping. I just had to hit the pillows ASAP. So I did take a nap, only for 30 minutes, but it felt longer than that. Anyways, but for the next 2 days, I just felt like I was eating more junk food, more rice, a second servings, and it was kind of unusual for me. And again, hard to tell because I might have used more calories from breastfeeding, but I don't know. It's just like a muddle. It's really hard to tell. But I did notice that I had a slight rash on the injection site, and that lasted an hour for 2 days. So I just use some non-steroid allergy topical gel, okay, and I used that on the injection site, and that took care of it really fast, and I was lucky that I did not have any muscle pain or pain on the injection site at all. So that I really appreciate, because I needed to use my arms to carry the baby, right? So relatively, I think it's a positive experience compared to those I've read who received their first AstraZeneca shots, especially those under the age of 60. I've been reading reviews. People have been telling me about chills, high temperature, fever, exhaustion. I mean, wow. Mad respect for you guys. I don't think I could have, gone through that. It's quite intense. So yeah, as of what we have, or the vaccines that we have in Thailand as of now, currently, we've expanded the roster of vaccines a little bit. We had our first mRNA Pfizer vaccine, the first 1 million doses as a gift from the U.S. Thank you so much. And of course, there is no denying that mRNA vaccines have been proven, to be effective against the new variants of COVID-19, especially Delta, which is, ripping through countries really, really fast. So as far as mRNA vaccines are concerned, we are, of course, importing vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna. But Thailand, we are also making our homegrown, our very, very own homegrown mRNA vaccine as well. And it's called ChulaCov19. And I think I should take some time to talk about this because, wow, it could be a game changer for the country, first of all, and possibly for the region as well, right? For a developing country like Thailand, I think it's big news and it's positive news. So the ChulaCov19 vaccine has entered the early stages of human trials in healthy adults at this time that this episode of this podcast was recorded. Now, this is highly anticipated, obviously, and it's developed by ChulaCov19 Vaccine Research Center from ChulaCov19 University. Now, ChulaCov19 was designed and developed by a team of Thai researchers who are collaborating with Pennsylvania University's Professor Drew Weissman, who was a renowned physician scientist for discovering the technology used in the production of this vaccine. Now, this vaccine has been tested, in monkeys and mice, and it was found to prevent the virus from entering the bloodstream. And it has also proven to boost immunity significantly as well. So this vaccine, we've done the first phase of the clinical trials already, which started in June 14th to volunteers. And what's interesting, that I found is that the trial will attempt to find the appropriate dosage for Thais. So it's very, very specific, targeted to Thais or especially Asians. So the research center is basically trying to figure out how much, to give to volunteers, whether it should be 10, 25, or 50 micrograms, as a safe level, while also boosting the immunity level of these volunteers. So at present, if you look at Moderna's dosage is 100 micrograms, while Pfizer is 30 micrograms, right? And as we are speaking, the second phase of the clinical trial is underway, with the number of volunteers increased to 150 to 300 people. And according to Professor Kiat Rakrungtham, who heads the ChulaCov19 Vaccine Research Center, he said that if ChulaCov19 can achieve higher levels of immunity, higher than the international benchmark of 80 international units, then this means that it has met the requirements of vaccine efficacy, which also means that the homegrown mRNA vaccine can skip the third clinical trial. And, before you know it, it can be manufactured before mid next year, which is positive news because, we really need all the vaccines as much as possible as we can get, judging by the pace of what's been rolling out recently, right? So, we really need the mRNA vaccine in particular. And what makes this mRNA vaccine different, from the likes of Moderna and Pfizer is that it is easier to store. So you can store it in the refrigerator temperature for up to 3 months or 25 degrees Celsius for 2 weeks. So that's also another pro of this ChulaCov19 vaccine. And, I guess it's safe to say that nobody has actually took notice of Chula Vaccine Research Center, even before this pandemic. Even me, as a Chula University alumni, I'm very, very oblivious to it. And it wasn't until the outbreak of COVID-19 that, Chula Vaccine Research Center announced its homegrown mRNA vaccine. And, that's when, people actually took notice and actually was interested in knowing more, especially when mRNA vaccines is now in the forefront of, trying to combat the different variants of COVID-19. And if successful, it can be a game changer in our vaccination rollout, right? Because we can, also rely on this mRNA vaccine as well as AstraZeneca. So it's all like a positive thing. So Professor Dr. Kiat, also gave an interview to Nature Briefing newsletter. Just this past May about the research center's goal. So he was very motivated by the H1N1 influenza pandemic that hit around 2009, 2010. The vaccine center actually wanted to develop their own vaccine so that Thailand didn't have to wait for imported ones. And even though they were very aware, that, they might be really late to the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine party, but, they still had the chance, to fill the gap with their second and third generation vaccines that will help fight against emerging variants, right? And its goal is not to only supply domestically, but also to provide Thailand's neighboring countries as well at an affordable price, right? So I think that is really, really good. And the interview also mentioned about the shift to mRNA technology as well. In 2017, the pioneer of mRNA technology, Dr. Drew Weissman at the University of Pennsylvania, actually came to the university to speak at an annual forum. And that's when they started to collaborate with him on the mRNA vaccines for allergies. So after the COVID-19 pandemic, they began to shift towards designing a vaccine for COVID-19 instead. And of course, right, we all know that the benefit of mRNA vaccine is that they are quicker to produce. And they can also be manufactured in large scales, which will reduce their cost in the long run. And because these vaccines, they use pieces of genetic material, which is the mRNA that tells cells to, make specific viral proteins, they don't have to wait for other variants to emerge to enter Thailand in order to make the vaccine. So I guess that's the positive, the good thing about mRNA technology. So yeah, fingers crossed that everything will go well, everything will smooth sail. I mean, we really, really need positive news right here. And I am very confident that this homegrown mRNA vaccine will be something that Thai people can be very, very proud of. All right. With that, thank you so much for tuning in to Surviving Thailand 101. Please do stay safe, wash those hands and wear those facial masks. And I hope you guys will get your first vaccine jab very, very soon. Okay. I'm Dawn Sinikrit, the app. พี่มนต์พร สวัสดีค่ะ